What, if anything, did you not see in the Cowboys season opening domination that you want to see against the Jets? Now, I will point out some of these things that I didn't see, it's just because you're like, well, what's the point? If you were looking for them to break it open to Cooks a little bit more, or like, why, when was that going to happen when it was pouring rain and the game was essentially over?
But that's something that I think the Cowboys fans wanted to see.
Absolutely.
And because they couldn't see it there, you feel like you should be able to see that at AT&T this Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Because the field conditions won't be, there's not going to be a rainstorm inside of AT&T. It's not going to happen. Controlled environment. So I think fans will probably get that opportunity to see a Dak Prescott let it loose to Brandon Cooks like we saw in training camp multiple times. Didn't get to see that in preseason, right? Because they didn't exist together on the field at the same time at all. So that's what I think fans want to see. Does Brandon Cooks have that ability to just go that we got to see? That's one of the things that was hyped up that you didn't get an opportunity for on Sunday night against the Giants. That would, Kevin, I guess for me, it is definitely the passing game in its fullest. And I don't know what the effect. I feel like some of the effects can be blamed on the rain for the Ferguson drop, the Hendershot drop, but those things could have led to furthering drives. And I wanted to see the Cowboys be able to put together long drives with their new short passing game or their quick passing game, and see also some of those passes develop into, because we saw it with Aaron Rodgers, we've seen it with the McCarthy offense before. The West Coast offense can create big time plays because of the way you're drawing up your routes that allow for space down the field. You don't necessarily have to throw the ball 25 yards down the field all the time because you can create yards after catch.
Look, I'm with you on one specific aspect of it. It probably won't surprise you to know what it is offensively, since we've already brought this up a couple of times, is I want to see that our tight ends can make clutch catches. And the thing about Ferguson, I know they were both here last year, but there was still Dalton Schultz.
Yep.
Right?
And he took away from them when they were on the field together.
Yeah.
And he was a security blanket that found himself open a lot of times without anybody around, right, when Dak Prescott needed him.
And so now that they're not here, I want to see the guys make big catches, because Ferguson, look, you won 40-0. It didn't end up mattering at all.
And we're not complaining here.
But Ferguson dropped the ball that should have extended a drive that you ended up settling for a field goal. And then Hendershot dropped the ball that was a sure touchdown. Now, I realize that Pollard ended up scoring that touchdown anyway. But my point is, when you get more competitive environments, I tell you there's going to be two drops. One of them is going to cost you a first down where you have to kick a field goal, and the other one's going to cost you a touchdown. That could be everything in a lot of games this season. So one of the things I think about is I would like to see the tight ends, and if you want to throw Scooney into the mix, I want to see the new tight ends make catches when it matters.
Do you want to see more Schoonmaker than like that, or are you saying no, it's just these guys?
I don't think it's necessary because I really liked, that's when we came up with the name, Ferguson. I really liked Ferguson and Hendershot last year as potential build-up tight ends, and clearly the Cowboys did as well. I think they have, especially Ferguson, to kind of take the lead in that group. I think they can do it.
Okay, all right.
But second-round pick is second-round pick for a reason.
Yeah,
right?
From the 2-1-4, I want to see less drops to not set ourselves up for bad situations on third down. Defense continue to grow and let this hype train keep rolling. Hashtag Tolo.
Yes.
I think that, we did see the defense start its thing. You saw the big play component that I think Dan Quinn's kind of been building on for a little bit now. You saw some big plays happen, but man, I think that could be a big play a week kind of defense. If it's like what we saw this week, and they truly have those aspirations to be that great. You hear it from Micah a lot. The aspiration of, look, we don't want to just be a certain team. We want to be a team that's scoring also and limiting the scoring as much as possible.
I think the other thing that immediately comes to mind is, and I was going back to try to double check before the false start and the snap, and clearly everything fell apart in that first drive for the Giants. 8 runs for 52 yards. All right. So you're talking about 6.5 yards a carry, I believe. Now, one drive does not define the entirety of the game. Clearly, it defined nothing about this game.
Right.
But that is worrisome because if there is a flaw in this Cowboys defense is it could be A, over pursuit, but it's B, stopping the run. And when the first drive out the gate, you give up 8 rushes for 52 yards, you're like, whoa, that's not to say the Cowboys couldn't have adjusted. And eventually the game got to the point where there was, why would New York run the ball? But I would like to see a faster start for the run defense. That doesn't mean you have to brick wall it every single time, but maybe you're giving up 4 yards a carry.
Yeah, I do wonder because, you hear the idea behind the 15 scripted plays is because that's your opportunity to gather information on the opponent.
Sure.
You're running these plays because, A, you think they can be successful, but maybe they can also set something up later in the game for you. You're trying to see what they're trying to do against you. It's much like a pitcher going up to the plate and having his scouting report. But if on this day specifically, their scouting report said don't swing at first pitches, and you thought they were going to swing at every first pitch, now you're trying to figure out, okay, what game are we playing here? So maybe the Cowboys, maybe that's Dan Quinn's way of saying, look, we will adjust to that, but we're not letting anybody open a game with big plays down the field against us.
But if you were scripting those plays, because of what happened with Aaron Rodgers and everything, you're going pretty run heavy.
Against the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to find out how, when they're willing to come up with the safeties. But even still, Kevin, when they decided they wanted to pass, it more often than not became Daniel Jones having to scramble away because the Cowboys were pressuring. And so that early in that game, they were disruptive. And that's a massive part of that. So, but yeah, I'm going to try to run against the Cowboys as frequently as possible. I want to see Hankins. I want to see Mozzie. I want to see them hold their ground. I do want to see more of Mozzie and Hankins saying it's plugged. You're not getting by. You're going to have to run around us. This is the problem for you. And absorbing two offensive linemen at a time.
Nothing.
Thanks,
they were
Mike.
awesome. They're going to do it again. I'm going to shut them out. The only way that New York scores is if the Jets, who have a great defense, turn over the Cowboys and get favorable field position. They will not drive the ball more than 40 yards in any possession.
I think one of the things
Wow.
we saw interceptions from the Cowboys. I think you could ask for more out of this defense this week. Because you asked the question earlier, who's worse or who's a better quarterback, Zach Wilson or Daniel Jones?
It's Daniel Jones.
I think Zach Wilson is terrified of playing the position still right now. I think he thought he was going to have a whole season behind Aaron Rodgers to learn, and now he's got thrown right back into the mix. Not a lot of the dudes trust that he's that guy yet. You could see the look on Salah's face. So I think, Kevin, this is another opportunity to force this kid to scramble for his life. You're already good in coverage. That's the whole plan in the NFL now. Be great at your pass rush and be really good in coverage, and you're going to be a really good team because the run game, like you said, Kevin, it can sustain a drive.
Yeah.
But what's most likely going to happen if you're trying to sustain long drives? You saw it with Daniel Jones. There's the false start, then there's the aborted snap.
Yep.
So you got
Still
those.
jarring to hear that terminology.
So
Right?
It is a really good opportunity to basically kind of have a similar type game. Now, their defense is good. They have a talented defense. So that's something that I think this is what I want to see too. I want to see the Cowboys beat a good defense. I didn't get to see that last week because they kind of folded up their play sheet and said, we'll store that for another day. But I want to see them beat a good defense, especially with some really talented quarterbacks on that team.
From the 940, I just want to see everyone stay healthy and the defense stop the run. Man, what's fascinating? The first part of that makes it sound like it's a preseason game. The Jets do have a damn fine defense. I will tell you that. I'm not here to defend their quarterback or anything like that. But just the way you're I just hope everyone's healthy going into an actual regular season game.
From the 817, does Breece Hall concern you?
Yes.
Breece Hall came away from that game saying, I just wanted to prove that I'm still that guy when I get on the field. And he did. So, yes, I think Breece Hall does concern me a little bit. And that's probably going to be their main focus is try to protect our quarterback as much as possible not let him get those opportunities to, give the game away by turning it over. And let's use our running backs. Let's use as many of them as we can.
This is an interesting philosophy from the 806 is an early, preferably legal hard hit to rattle the QB. And I don't think that just has to go in this game. I think that goes throughout the year because Mike had talked about something coming out of that Giants game is it feels like in this moment, the Cowboys defense is legitimately scary, like scary.
Yeah.
If you can continue that kind of it doesn't have to always be a shutout, but like by holding points low and dropping some heavy hits or getting a bunch of pressures and sacks, that aura is going to continue to build around the defense.
I guess we did see that dog mentality immediately in this game. And the tendency for teams after they have great successes like that, Mike pointed out with that A's game, is it's human nature just to be like, all right, that was good enough. We did it, guys. And after week one, shutting a team out, that is the next step, Kevin, is do you take the next page of, no, I want 2 shutouts. Does the entire defense go with that mindset of, no, I want 2 shutouts. Like, let's go do something special. That's when you have something unique. Whenever your entire group is working towards these, they might be stupid little goals, but they're games within the game that Michael Jordan always talks about. Is whenever he took something personal, that's whenever he really got after somebody. And you kind of I think Mike is the kind of person that's looking for something like that to be like, nah, we want to get negative points. Let's go ahead and score more touchdowns against them.
From the 817, just get CD the damn ball.
I think that there are a lot of fantasy owners out there that are like, hey, that was nice, but I would like some more opportunities for that. I want CeeDee Lamb to turn into that top 3, top 5 legitimate wide receiver. And Mike, we discussed this because the options on the offense, there won't be. Young Shotty told us, he was like, some nights you're going to have 2 for 22 from Brandon Cooks and 77 yards from CD, and then it might be switched the other night because of what we're seeing in front of us. And the Cowboys, after week 1, you saw the big guy feasted, and Brandon Cooks got what was left over, and then the rest of the offense kind of tried to fill in from there.
And it'll be tough because they won't be playing in the fourth quarter. We'll be playing Cooper Rush and the backups to end the game.
Yeah, because Mike has predicted this 3 straight shutouts is what Mike's predicting.
27-0. I think it's going to be tough to score for 3 quarters, but 27 will be enough, and then we'll shut it down in the fourth, and then 50-0 against Arizona.
Which would be
telling 3 quarters, because we don't even play the fourth.
When do you play Washington? Because Washington just barely beat Arizona. So, like,
to make it fair, they should give the coaches against the Cowboys white flags. And so they can wave them at some point.
Jeez,
in the late third or early fourth quarter, they should. Yes. Yep, that's what happens in high school, right? It gets to a certain point, like, we white flag it. And I think that the next 2 weeks will be white flaggers against the Cowboys.